Martial law and what it could mean for the Russian people. Let's bring in Victoria Pardini with the Kennan Institute at the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars. Thank you so much for your time. Let's start off with this. Can you explain a little more about what martial law is and the role it plays in wars?
Hi, good morning. Yes, sure. So martial law is when military rule temporarily substitutes civilian rule, particularly during a time of crisis or war. However, every country uses this term to enact different regulations. Martial law can be used to suppress dissent. And it's a concept that basically can empower leaders who enact it to shape what will and will not be prohibited.
Martial law, if it goes through, how could that impact the human rights of Russians?
Well, it could affect the human rights pretty substantially as it is. The Kremlin's been chipping away at human rights in the country for years now, and has been ramping up that oppression even in the recent weeks. This morning there was a session of the Duma that many speculated would be the moment that martial law would be announced. Instead, a new law was passed against fake news that could subject people who disseminate fake news for up to 15 years in prison. The thing to remember there is that fake news can be anything that's against the Kremlin's agenda. It can be even using the term war or invasion in regards to the war in Ukraine right now. So it's just this kind of information blockade that can really be very possible with further measures and the implementation of martial law.
So if this martial law does in fact go through in Russia, what does it mean for Russian citizens there?
Again, it's a chipping away at their basic liberties. It's increased fear in terms of going out onto the streets to protest the war. It's also an information blockade. Today, even more independent media in Russia were blocked, including Medusa and other websites. Facebook is getting harder to use in the country. And so it's really alienating and kind of casting a shadow.
Not to cut you off. So it's just like going a step further, because we already knew Putin was doing this stuff with suppressing dissent, with the crackdown on protesters, and with the media as well.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And it could be, it could also be things like instituting a curfew, possibly conscription, but it's hard to say right now what that would look like.
Right. So last week, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky imposed martial law on the country. Obviously, the reasoning behind it was pretty different. The motive behind it, excuse me. So how is the practice working for the Ukrainian people right now?
Sure. So right now, the martial law as it stands in Ukraine right now is basically working toward conscription. So it's preventing men from 18 to 60 years old from leaving the country so that they can go and serve. It's not nearly the kind of crackdown that people are fearing it's going to be if it were to be imposed in Russia. It is obviously a wartime state right now in Ukraine. But it's basically that conscription plus a few days curfew that's taking place in Kiev.
All right, Victoria Pardini with the Kennan Institute. Thanks for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.